Welcome back to Mythogram. We've been on quite the journey together, haven't we? After going through the first 34 chapters of this epic explainer, we are diving right into chapter 35. And let me tell you, things are really shifting gear. We're heading back to the deep forests of ancient India for a monumental moment. The exact point in the story where Lord Ram arrives at the foothills of Rishyamukh mountain and encounters a figure who is going to change the Ramayan forever, Hanuman. So let's step right into this historic chapter. To really grasp why this encounter is so powerful, we have to look at where our heroes are emotionally right now. Lord Ram he's overwhelmed with deep emotional sorrow. He and his younger brother Lakshman are trekking through this dense, unforgiving forest, desperately searching for Ram's abducted wife, Sita. It's completely tearing Ram apart. But then you have Lakshman. He is the ultimate anchor here. He keeps reminding Ram of Sita's incredible resilience, basically telling him, look, she is a remarkably brave woman. Her spirit isn't going to break no matter what kind of suffering she faces. And it's that absolute, unwavering faith that keeps them putting one foot in front of the other, deeper into the unknown. But meanwhile, way up on the peaks of Rishyamukh mountain, it is a completely different vibe. Down below, you have this heavy grief, but up top, in the camp of the exiled monkey king Sugriva, it's pure political paranoia. Sugriva's spies have been intensely watching the forest, and they come rushing in, completely panicked. They've spotted two strangers, and these aren't just your average wandering monks. They're impossibly handsome, built like absolute tanks, and heavily armed with the bows of elite warriors. If you're an exiled king constantly looking over your shoulder, that is a massive, terrifying red flag.
So Sugriva is literally paralyzed by fear. He is convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that these heavily armed strangers are lethal assassins sent by his powerful, estranged brother, King Bali, to just finish the job. But his wise minister Jambavan looks at the situation a little differently. He takes a breath and weighs the options. Sure, it could totally be an enemy trick. But look at their ascetic clothing, their calm demeanor. What if they're just wandering nobles who actually need a friend? The survival of their entire exiled faction depends entirely on figuring out the truth here, without accidentally triggering a deadly war.
That's when Jambavan, being the master strategist he is, comes up with a brilliant espionage plan. They can't afford a direct confrontation, but they also can't just run away based on a hunch. They need an operative, someone with unmatched intellect and physical strength. And really, there's only one guy for a diplomatic mission this sketchy: Hanuman. The plan is set. Hanuman is going to disguise himself as a humble Brahmin priest, casually approach these armed strangers, uncover their real intentions through conversation, and if they are assassins, he'll signal the rest of the camp to instantly retreat to safety. Right before he heads down the mountain, Hanuman sees the sheer terror in King Sugriva's eyes. The king is ready to bolt and abandon his safe haven at the slightest hint of danger. But Hanuman steps up and delivers this fiercely loyal vow. He basically tells him, look, whether these guys are gods, demons, or just regular mortal men, as long as I am breathing, they are not going to lay a finger on you. Talk about absolute confidence, right? With that powerful promise hanging in the air, Hanuman shifts his form and starts making his way down that treacherous path to meet the unknown. Now cut back down to the desolate forest. Ram and Lakshman are just trying to navigate this incredibly tough terrain when suddenly this mysterious Brahmin priest approaches them. The tension is palpable. The two sides have finally crossed paths. But right away, Lakshman's internal alarms are going off. He's a warrior on high alert, and he is getting increasingly irritated. Because think about it, why on earth is this super eloquent, solitary priest just wandering around in such a deadly, remote part of the wilderness? It just doesn't add up, and Lakshman's suspicion is really starting to boil over. What happens next is this absolutely fascinating linguistic dance. Hanuman, completely playing the part in his disguise, takes total control of the conversation. He launches into a total masterclass in diplomacy and cross-examination. He's speaking in flawlessly fluent Sanskrit, immediately showing off a staggering level of education. He starts firing off these probing questions. Who are you guys? Why are you out here looking like hermits but carrying the weapons of elite warriors? But the funny part is, whenever Lakshman tries to flip the script and ask who he is, the Brahmin just playfully dodges the question with more riddles. It's a really fast-paced, almost humorous test of the brothers' patience. While Lakshman is getting more and more frustrated by the runaround, Lord Ram is just quietly observing. He's not fooled for a second, but he's also not threatened. He leans over to Lakshman and gives this incredibly profound assessment.
He points out that someone who speaks with such grammatical perfection and deep knowledge of the sacred texts, well, a soul like that simply cannot have deceit in his heart. Ram instantly recognizes the immense intellect, the purity, and the total devotion hiding safely behind that clever disguise. Hearing Ram's calming words, Lakshman finally just puts all his cards on the table. It's the moment of truth. He firmly drops the defensive attitude and tells the Brahmin exactly who they are, the sons of the great king Dashrath of Ayodhya. He lays out their tragic circumstances and explains that they were specifically guided to this very mountain by the divine ascetic, Mata Sita. Their one and only goal? To find King Sugriva and seek his friendship. And then, having been completely vulnerable, Lakshman firmly demands that the Brahmins stop playing games and take them straight to Sugriva's minister Hanuman. Okay, what happens next is honestly one of the most emotionally charged moments in the entire epic. The second the name of Ram is spoken and the reality of the situation clicks, the disguise just drops, gone. Hanuman suddenly realizes that he has literally just been cross-examining and testing the very god he has spent his entire life worshipping. The sheer shock, the pure reverence, the deep remorse for not recognizing his master instantly, it hits him like a tidal wave. With tears streaming down his face, the ultimate devotee completely breaks down and surrenders right at the feet of Lord Ram. Hanuman is absolutely distraught here. He's blaming his own foolish monkey nature for daring to test the divine. But Ram's reaction? It is so beautiful. It just washes away all of Hanuman's doubts, all his fears, and all those physical barriers. Ram physically lifts him up out of the dust and pulls him into a deep embrace. He offers words of absolute forgiveness, telling Hanuman that he isn't just a servant or an ally. He is someone as dear to his heart as his own beloved brothers, Lakshman and Bharat. It's a defining moment that cements a bond that will literally change the world. So, with the truth finally out in the open, the ever-wise Hanuman zooms out and sees the big picture, and it is a divinely orchestrated, perfect synergy. Think about it. Lord Ram is a mighty warrior, but he's just one man. He desperately needs an allied army to scour the earth and find Sita. On the flip side, King Sugriva commands an entire kingdom of loyal warriors, but he's stuck in exile and desperately needs one incredibly powerful warrior to help him defeat his brother Bali and take back his own wife and kingdom. It's a perfect match born entirely out of mutual need and shared righteousness. Knowing they can't waste any time, Hanuman warns the brothers that the trek up to Sugriva's camp is brutally steep and dangerous. But of course, he has a solution. Tapping into his incredible mystical powers, specifically those ancient yogic abilities to manipulate his mass and size, Hanuman physically expands his form. He becomes massive. He invites Ram and Lakshman to hop onto his shoulders, and in this truly awe-inspiring scene, Hanuman just leaps into the air. He carries the Lord and his brother, soaring right up over that treacherous terrain, heading straight for the mountain peak and their shared destiny with King Sugriva. And just like that, we are standing right on the precipice of our next great adventure. Hanuman successfully navigated the danger, recognized his Lord, and is now hand-delivering the ultimate allies to his exiled king. But what dramatic turn of events is this new friendship between Ram and Sugriva actually going to bring? How are they going to fulfill each other's desperate needs? Well, that is exactly what we are going to unpack in Chapter 36. I really hope you enjoyed this piece of the story as much as I loved sharing it. If you found this explainer captivating, please go ahead and like it, drop a comment below with your thoughts and your devotion, and make sure you subscribe to the Mythogram channel so you never miss a chapter of this epic saga. See y'all next time.